If you're wanting an all-in-one Quad Cortex preset for your guitar and vocals, then this video is for you. I'm going to be sharing my tube channel strip, which I use for vocals. I'll attempt a one-take vocal of one of my songs, as well as run through the preset in its entirety, talking about all the different blocks that comprise it. The voyage through the So this video was actually a request from a couple of viewers and I thought it was a really great idea, so I put together some of their suggestions about what they'd like in this particular preset and have created something which I think is really flexible, really usable for a live environment. I'm going through changes. With this preset, you're going to be able to toggle between 4 different guitar scenes: clean, crunch, high gain and solo, and the top row is going to offer you a range of options for your vocal lane, including autotune, modulation effect, a distorted effect, as well as a momentary foot switch to toggle harmonies. So let me take you into Cortex Control and give you a brief introduction to the preset, as well as how it's set up. We'll go through the one-take vocal recording, and then we'll come back and test some isolated vocal tones so you can check them out. Okay, so here we are in Cortex Control, and to quickly take you through the guitar lane first and then over to the vocals. So the guitar starts in lane 1 and goes into a compressor, the dual compressor. Then we have the obsessive drive, which we use for a boost. Then we use the Bogner Vishnu 20th clean, which is one of my favorite clean amps in the Quad Cortex as stock blocks. Then the Freeman 100 rhythm, which is my main higher gain tone. Then what we have here is we have a split. So you can see that I've cut off the level completely to A, so we don't have a parallel signal going into the effects loop and the cab. We just want one signal, so we just use this as a way to extend the signal onto the second row to accommodate more blocks. And to compensate some of the signal loss, I've boosted the signal by 8 decibels to level B, which then goes into a utility adaptive gate, which is sidechained to the input 1. Then we have a digital delay, a plate lush, a tremolo, and a parametric 8 EQ, which is toggleable via scene, so depending on what you want EQ, you can use this block for that. Then we rejoin lane 1, and then in this particular preset, I use the effects loop send 1 to send my signal out to a power amp and cabinet. Then it goes into a cab, and then the out one will go to front of house. So if you don't use a power amp and cab, you don't need the effects block, but this is there if you do have that option. On the input 2, which is for the XLR of the microphone, we have a noise reduction applied. Then we go into a pitch correction block. So this is what's going to provide the auto-tune capabilities for this preset. And we'll come back to this a bit later. Then we have the secret source of this preset. Now this is a capture that I did in my DAW of the channel strip, which is a tube channel strip I use for all my vocal recordings, and not spoken word, but singing. So this capture really encapsulates the sound I get from that, and in combination with this EQ afterwards, it really adds a nice presence to the sound, and that kind of tube, slightly analog feel to it, which I really like in the Quad Cortex. Then we go into an opto comp just to level everything out. Then at this point we split the signal, but I'll come back to that in a sec about how that functions. But as we continue on this row 3, we go into a Chief OD1, which is for a distorted tone in this preset. Then we have a modulation if we want to do a Ozzy Osbourne style chorus sounding vocal. Then we go into a simple delay, then a plate reverb like so. Now this splitter here, you can see that we've reduced the level slightly because we're going to double up the tone when we use this lane. But this is where we use a pitch shifter to create a momentary harmony capability. Now, depending on the semitones that you used in the pitch course, you can decide which interval you want to use for your harmonies depending on the song you're doing. So you may find that this needs to change depending on the song you're doing, if it's minor, major, whatever key it's going to be, and what particular moment you want to apply it. But the key to this lane is using this utility gain block, and we set the level to off, so the signal stops going through this unless we use the momentary foot switch, which has been applied to this block, which is A, and as you can see, it then toggles off, which allows the signal to go through the path, apply a harmony and come back, and then when we let go of the foot switch, that turns off the harmony, and then we're just going back to that one signal on the row 3. So here is a little preview of me using the A, B, C and D foot switches and how that affects the mic tone.
Yeah, yeah, oh, 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 yeah, oh. Start spreading the news, you're leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. New York, New York. New York, New York. I'm going through changes. I'm going through changes. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, 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 oh, yeah.
So now I'll play one of my original tracks called The Voyage, which I have completely re-recorded with all the sounds in this preset, both guitar parts and the vocal track. I thought it would be a good challenge to do for this video, so what you're seeing is a one-take vocal recording with me on the fly toggling the different sounds on the Quad Cortex, as well as in real time adjusting the expression pedal for different delay and reverb mix and feedback.
Lived a life of solemn steps that shine with stories rich and deep, and pockets stained with wine. Voyage through the night to take you through the day. Journey is near. The sowing spray in his face, a precious gift awaiting at the final resting place. The young ones scream with fresh day's dyes. An innocent beam of light emits their truthful lies. The voyage through the night to take you through the day. The voyage through the night to take you through the day. He's seen a few in his time. A wry smile is his reply to carry on the path and say goodbye.
So a few final notes for you for this preset. On the pitch shifter, if you want to have these a lot more present in the mix, you can just bring up the mix to something like 40 or 50. And then depending on which particular harmony you want, you can change the semitones. So you can do 2, 3, 4, 5 if you want them above and higher. But also you can go negative. So if you want a lower harmony compared to the note that you're singing, you can do that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And so the final note is the volume. So you may find, again, because of how loud you sing, how close you hold the mic, your mic technique, you may need to adjust some of the input and output volume levels. So for example, on out 2 here, I just had the volume set to 0, but depending on your out level that's appearing, and if you're redlining, you want to bring the volume down. If you're really far away, you may want to boost up the volume here. And also check in your I/O settings how the input volume is from your mic. You of course don't want to be running a really hot mic signal into the mixer front of house, so just check these levels are right before you bring it to a live environment. So that was my all-in-one vocal preset for Guitarists in the Quad Cortex, using some of my favorite guitar tones and my new favorite vocal tone. So feel free to download off the Cortex Cloud under AW Music and let me know how you get on with using it in a live environment. If you liked this video, found it useful, and like the tones you were hearing both from the guitar and the vocals, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you in the next video.